Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Sports Keg production on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. I'm Spread Astaire, and today I'll be here with Tyler, and we're going to be talking about the NBA. How you doing today, Tyler?
It's been a long 2 months of just Xbox and Netflix spread. I'm ready to get back to some basketball.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix and chill does have its place in life, but we're ready to bet some sports and win. So let's go ahead and jump into this today. We're going to be going over our approach to how we're going to be trading this Orlando NBA bubble, things we're going to be looking for, and things that we think will be solid indicators on where to place our bets. So first of all, we're going to talk about scenarios of the seedings. We know that the Lakers and the Bucks are pretty much locked in, to the number one seed. So let's go over some of those other ones. What are you seeing here in the East, Tyler?
In the East, it's looking like anywhere from about 2 to 6 can move. I mean, you're not going to see a 6 seed jump up to 2, but the Raptors can definitely drop to 3, and the Celtics can definitely jump to 2, and even the Heat down there. If they get hot down there in those quick 8 games, they could definitely move up seeds.
Right.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, and I agree. And so when we're originally looking at this, right, what's the difference between 2 and 3? Doesn't seem like much with no home court advantage, but it's probably the difference between having to face a team like the Sixers or the Nets in the first round, right? And I think there's a big drop off in quality here after 6. So I think that 2 seed is going to be coveted. I think these teams will be fighting for it. What about 4, 5, and 6? How do you think this little jumble is going to play out?
Looking at 4, 5, and 6, what do you got? The Heat at 41 and 24, Pacers 39 and 26, and 76ers right there at the same. I think the Pacers probably drop back to that 6 seed, and Philly moves up a spot, and Miami probably stays right put.
Right. I think Philly got a much nicer schedule. I think they have one of the easiest schedules of the whole bubble. Very favorable for them. They were a banged up team going into this. And now they should be fully healthy with both Simmons and Embiid shaking off those injuries that they had right before we had the shutdown. We learned that the Pacers lost Victor Oladipo. He's not going to be playing. They also do not have Jeremy Lamb. Am I correct in that?
I'm pretty sure I'd have to double check on that.
All right, so we're going to double check on that before we give out an official play. But this is just basically an idea of how we're viewing this bubble. I do think that the number 2 seed is going to be coveted, so I expect both the Raptors and the Celtics to be gunning full force for that.
I could see the Magic even jumping up to that 7 seed with how dismantled the Nets got from COVID. The Nets might even drop down to the 8 spot, and then Milwaukee just disposes of them in 4 games in the first round.
Right, but wouldn't you say that both 7 and 8 are essentially buys for the first round teams? I mean, the Nets and the
pretty
Magic,
much with those
are,
two. Even with just those 3 front teams, if any of those 3 grab those 2 bottom teams, it should be a quick 4 games and done.
Right, yeah, but then if you fall down to that 3 seed in the first round, you could be in danger because you're going to be facing.
You do not want to. You're looking at a team that should be towards the 5 or the 4 seed, but just had a rough patch.
Right, so we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on the schedule there. How do we think that the Bucks are going to act after they lock this thing up? Normally, I would say they'd be resting players, but just due to the fact that they need to regain the chemistry, are they just going to blow the doors off the other teams for the rest of the time?
See, that's where I think we can get a look at to look forward to betting the Bucks, and I'm looking at team total unders there on them because I can see them once they're locked in to that 1 seed, which they pretty much are now. They're going to use these games to get their shooters back into a rhythm to where I think they're just letting the 3-point shooters chuck up shots. They might not hit their team total, and they're just using those games to get them guys ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, and kind of segues into something interesting. Totals. How are we going to play totals? I mean, our first quarter unders just the way to go. Are we going to expect these teams to just come out and not be ready, or with this little training camp time that they have now, are you expecting these teams to come out fast and firing and not really with too many effects of the layoff? What are you looking for here?
See, I could see them coming out with a lot of energy, but then I could see just the jump shots not being there yet. So with totals, I'm probably going to do a lot more live betting with those than pregame betting.
Okay. Cool. And then that's what I love to do. And I think we were doing pretty successful on the Sports Keg live betting show, attacking some of those totals, especially off hot first quarters when they were creeping up, and we were able to hit like under 260 and some of the ridiculous numbers that the NBA players were giving us this year with their increased pace and obviously just knocked out shooting. A lot of scoring points here in the NBA. This is a fast scoring league. Be very interesting. So we're going to tread lightly on totals, but we're going to expect to see a dogfight here for the 2 and 3 seeds. Now, switching over to the Western Conference, same deal. Lakers are pretty much locked in. I'd even say the Clippers are pretty much locked in, but maybe that's just because I don't believe in the Nuggets or the Jazz. How are you attacking the Western Conference?
The way I'm looking at that too is the same way you are. I mean, should be 1-2 both LA teams. I can't see Denver catching the Clippers and the Jazz. They're probably still in shambles with the Gobert Mitchell relationship being their
Right.
two best players. The Thunder, I could see them jumping up to the 4 seed. I mean, that young team was playing well before the break stopped.
Yeah, and we have another case where, in the East, it was 2 through 6. In the West, it's kind of 3 through 7, right? I have the Nuggets
Yep.
sitting here at 43 and 22. The Mavericks are at 40 and 27, so they can definitely catch up. Jazz at 41 and 23. Mavericks are in striking distance of them. So we almost have a whole separate race here. How do you think this is going to play out? Just obviously, no money on this, and this is early speculation, and can be subject to change, especially as we find out these players that are jumping in and out of the lineups due to either being sick or opting out. How do you think it's going to play out here? Do you think that we're going to see some movement here in these standings?
Oh, I definitely think so, especially in the West. I mean, even looking at that 6 seed with your guy James Harden down there, he should be rested and ready to go.
Well,
They
you
could
saw
jump
that
up the
Harden's
rankings.
not traveling with the team, right?
Oh, he's not.
Harden and Westbrook did not make the initial flights. They're hoping to get them there in time. But as of right now, they were not with the team. We've had a lot of people out here. We
I
got
seen Kawhi stayed, but his was family issue related.
right. Oh, what? Okay, I didn't know Kawhi stayed either. Did you see that Jokic is still in Serbia?
Yep. Well, he was one that was diagnosed with COVID.
Yeah. So
So
he's
they
got
might be leaning
COVID.
heavy on Jamal Murray.
Without Jokic, I think this team is
I think
down there
it
with
takes
the
a
8
step
seeds,
back,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
But for
huge
everyone
step
out there
back.
playing DFS, keep an eye on Jamal Murray.
Yeah, for DFS, if there's no Jokic, there's going to be a lot of usage going up there. So not too high on necessarily on the Nuggets. If they do get Jokic back, do you expect a lot from this team, or are you a little worried about them?
I mean, I still think they're a middle of the pack Western Conference team, right where they were last year. I don't expect them to take a step forward in this type of year.
Yeah, I
What are you
think this is going
thinking?
to be a tough situation for them to step forward. Jokic's weight loss, how do you think that affects him positively or negatively?
I'm very interested to see how that plays out. I think positively when it comes to his stamina and in being able to up and down the floor with these guys. But
Mm-hmm.
when he gets down there and bangs with some of them big guys, I'm interested to see how the lighter size works for him. If he's still able to move them guys around.
Yeah, I think exactly the same. I expect him to have more stamina and more speed, but I'm a little worried about his ability to get position in the post, and that's so key to the game and the way they set up their offense. So there's
Yep.
so many question marks surrounding this Nuggets team. I'm really not sure what to make of them going into it. I'm not really going to take a strong position before we watch them get out on the court and play, but I definitely think that they are a team that we're going to be watching. And boy, we talked about totals earlier. They could have over written all over them if they come out hot, but they're not defending. Other teams here, yeah, we talked about the Rockets. Boy, yeah, if Harden and Westbrook don't get there, I mean that team's just dead in the water, right?
Oh yeah, that team's done. They better hope for to have a horseshoe up their ass when they're shooting threes. That'd be the
Yeah,
only way they advance.
yeah. So not a lot going on for the Rockets there if they're missing their 2-star players. If the 2 stars are back, I do think they have an interesting upset potential once the playoffs start. So let's wait until we find out more about their conditions. But I'll tell you what, if I'm a Rockets fan or if I already put money on the Rockets, I'd be a little worried about the news that they didn't make the initial flight. Now, the Mavericks, we have the opposite situation here from the Nuggets where their star gained a lot of weight. What do you make of that?
I still feel like he'll be fine. He looked fine in the couple practice runs they had with him out there.
Okay.
And he's young. He should just be able to knock that weight right back off and be right back out there at his same pace.
That's what I was thinking too. As an older guy who struggles to lose weight, I remember how fast I could shed it at that age, and I kind of expect the same from him. What do you expect from Porzingis?
I think he's going to be really ready to go. That knee, he had that little bit of a knee problem before the break came in. That should be gone.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he should be at 100%.
Yeah,
I really hope their shooters like Seth Curry and them guys get their shots back under them. That team could be a problem come playoff time.
they
If they
could.
can,
My main issue for them is that they're missing a couple wings. They've had some COVID tests, and then they also had injuries that did not have not healed, that they're not ready to go. Their wing depth is going to be limited. Otherwise, I would be really high on the Mavericks. Actually, I think this extra rehab time for Porzingis is going to be huge, and really be excited to see how that duo of Doncic and Porzingis is able to go against the rest of the stars here. If it wasn't for those depth issues caused by the injuries, I'd be a lot higher on the Mavericks. But as of right now, I almost have them in the Nuggets as the wait and see category.
Yeah, totally agree there.
All right, now we're going to move down to the fight for the 8th seed. I don't really think that we have a much of a fight in the East with Bradley Beal being out for the Wizards. I think that make their chances very slim. But over here in the West, we have a great fight for the 8th seed here. Grizzlies sitting at 32 and 33, Trailblazers at 29-37, Pelicans 28-36, Kings 28-36, Spurs are 27 and 36. How do you see the 8th seed playing out here? What are we looking for?
I think we're definitely going to see that play-in tournament get unlocked. I mean, as of right now, the standings sit, you have 4 teams that unlock it because it's 4 or less games back. But the team that I see unlock it is for sure is the Pelicans. That's
the Pelicans
schedule. Yeah, that schedule's really easy. You get Sacramento twice. You get Utah who's still in shambles. You get Washington. You get Orlando. You get the Spurs. And the only 2 games you have to really worry about are Memphis and the Clippers. So it's very realistic that team goes 6-2.
I agree. I think the Pelicans and the 76ers have the 2 easiest schedules here of the bubble. And I know that the Sixers have the ability and kind of the veteran experience to be able to take advantage of it, being a former playoff team last year and, being a bounce away from the Eastern Conference Finals. Pelicans, I'm not so sure about. They've got some young players. What are you expecting to see from Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Lonzo Ball? Are these guys that we're going to be attacking in the player prop market?
I believe so, yeah. Lonzo with his assists, Zion with the rebounds, and Ingram with the points after a few games once we see them shots get back under him. But looking at Zion, that knee wasn't 100% before the break started. That knee has got to be 100% now. He shed a lot of fat. He put on muscle. I'm very interested to see how them guys play.
And if there's anything that helps you when you have a knee, it's getting rid of that weight, reducing the pressure, especially when you're jumping as high as Zion can jump. I mean, I can only imagine being able to do something like that. But I think that's a great look for the Pelicans here. So let's just say, and this is obviously speculation, the Pelicans play the Grizzlies in a 2-game playoff series. Now, remember, if the Grizzlies had the spot, the Pelicans would need to win 2 in a row. How would you be feeling about this?
I mean, I still like the Pelicans there. I'm even confident in that plus 300 for them to make the playoffs. I really like that pick.
All right, so why don't we transition straight into that? That's a pick that you've already made and a pick you'd like to give out on the show?
Yep, Pelicans to make the playoffs at plus 300. Way easier schedule than Memphis. Memphis gets Portland, San Antonio, New Orleans, Utah, and then they finish the season with Oklahoma City, Toronto, the Celtics, and Milwaukee. That's almost like a gauntlet to run. They lose, they stumble, and New Orleans picks up a couple wins against them weaker teams. They could definitely be right there.
Yeah, I mean, the Pelicans have to be hoping that Milwaukee is going to go ahead and rest for that 8th game. But this is unprecedented. I don't know what these coaches are going to do because of the fact they've had 2 months off. I don't know if they're going to need the same rest, the mandatory rest that these guys usually need at the end of a grueling 82-game season, So yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, if Milwaukee is still playing all their starters. And, we saw that Milwaukee number sitting at 6 for their over-under. And I want to jump because I'm thinking, they should be resting people. But the one thing that's making me hesitant is the fact that they could decide to just go ahead and play all out for the 8 games, maybe cut the minutes a tad, but even 25, 30 minutes, I think Milwaukee would be too much for Memphis on a neutral floor. And then that kind of brings us into one other question I wanted to ask you. How do you think that the neutral floor is going to affect things? I mean, we look at teams like Utah and Denver, major disadvantage. Those guys are huge for their home court. But just for most teams, like, say, a Memphis-New Orleans game, these are teams with ridiculous home court advantages. Obviously it's always nice to be at home. But, it's not some crazy home court advantage that they're losing. How are you going to cap these games on the neutral floor, and how do you think that affects the teams?
I think it really comes down to talent on the teams. I mean, the 2 teams you just named are really young. Most of these kids, this is basically just another AAU game for them.
Right.
I can see that.
And
Go
that's a
ahead.
great point here. No, that's a great point that some of these younger kids have kind of been used to playing in empty gyms with not a
Yeah.
lot of people caring about the reactions or the crowd noise, because those AAU tournaments, sometimes there'll be 3-4 games
Yep. There's
going at once.
4 courts going, and all the games are going at once. So there's only
Yeah.
so many people that could be in between them watching.
Right. So, all right. Well, I think that we did a nice little breakdown here of our approach to the bubble, and you gave out a play. Do you want to reinforce that for the listeners real quick on
Uh,
the play that we're giving out?
that play is Pelicans to make the playoffs at plus 300.
And I think you're getting great value here. It only has to, happens less than 33% of the time. I think the Pelicans got the easiest schedule. I think that, obviously, I'm not saying the NBA, is making sure this is going to happen, but I know that they would be pretty happy to have Zion Williamson in the playoffs. I mean, they're looking to do record numbers. If they can pull this bubble off, no issues, and we just get basketball on TV, competitive basketball, I mean, the ratings are going to be through the roof. I mean, the opportunity for the NBA to grow its audience and to grow its core fan base is just immeasurable here. So hopefully they take advantage of the opportunity, and I'll bet you that Adam Silver does want to have Zion Williamson kind of leading the charge here. So that's what we're looking at. We went ahead and we're taking the Pelicans plus 300 to make the playoffs. We're thinking there will be a playoff, the play-in, which will be fun because they're going to have to win 2 games in a row against Memphis. And Memphis is a great team. I mean, Ja Morant, we love Zion, right? But as of
Yep.
right now, if they play, Ja might be the best player on the floor right now, right? Zion has got more potential. But
Yeah,
right now,
Jaw is definitely the better player as of right
yeah,
now.
Ja is balling. So I mean, we're not we're not saying this is a sure thing. We're not saying that to risk the mortgage, but we're saying use your regular unit size, bet a unit, grab the Pelicans at plus 300. There is some value. So this is our first attempt here at giving you guys some information as part of the Sports Keg Run Pure Sports team. Tyler, had a great time talking some basketball with you, and be looking forward to giving these guys some more info soon.
Yep, can't wait. And one thing before we leave, you mentioned ratings before.
Mm-hmm.
If the Pelicans still had 8 seed, who would be Zion matched up with in that first round? And wouldn't that be nice ratings for the NBA?
Oh, yeah. I mean, can you imagine all the Lakers cast off, the players that the Lakers did not
That,
want?
Anthony Davis, you get Zion
Yeah.
versus
Anthony
LeBron.
Davis left New Orleans. Lonzo's getting revenge. Josh Hart's getting revenge. Brandon Ingram's getting revenge. Those were fun games during the season, too.
Yep.
Those games were closer than, say, the 8-1 on the other side, which is going to be yawn, should we be laying minus 37 live? Because I kind of have a feeling that's how the Milwaukee games are going to be going.
Milwaukee's going to treat Brooklyn or Orlando just like they did Detroit last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be terrible basketball. So we're going to get some great basketball here on the other side. I mean, even if it does end up being Memphis, or Portland,
It'll
maybe
still be
even,
good basketball.
it'll still be a good basketball. But the storylines that are written in and the narrative that the networks are going to be able to run with it ends up being New Orleans are just going to be fantastic. So, we got that going on our side too. I mean, the referees kind of have to know this as well, right?
Yep.
I mean, they might be even watching the show right now. So, they're not blind to what's going on in the media and what the NBA needs. So, yeah, this is looking forward to being a lot of fun. We're going to be back. We're going to have more plays as this plays out, as we see, players opting in, players opting out, finding out who's looking in shape in practice, kind of getting some reports coming out of this bubble. This is all new, all unprecedented for us, but we're still going to be able to look at it, find it, and use our basketball knowledge to take advantage and find some value. So we found some value here in the Pelicans plus 300, and we're going to be bringing you more videos with more value to come. So we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.